I had many moments. I've had many moments, and I think we all do. The small voice inside that says, maybe this isn't right. But the big moment for me came the morning I woke up and realized that if I continued the way I was going, I was going to die. The problem was, I was also pretty afraid because I felt so worthless, so different. I was also pretty afraid that if I tried to fit in, if I tried to change my life, I would die as well. And so I realized that either way, I was looking in my mind at death. So I decided to fight and I decided to transform my life. And, we can all do this. We've all got that little voice inside that tells us it's time. It's about listening to that little voice, not the loud voice of the ego or the consciousness. Well, those are two very difficult questions, actually. So emotional intelligence is really what it says. It's about being intelligent about our emotions. What most people don't realize is that all sensory information, all information that comes in goes through our emotional center first, and then it goes for processing in our logical brain. So the point is that we react emotionally before we react logically. Now, it's milliseconds between those two, but sometimes our emotional reaction means the damage is already done. So emotional intelligence is really about being intelligent about how you react to different situations, different people. If you can identify what types of situations or people make you angry, then you can start to work on that anger and start to feel it when that rises and start to manage that so it doesn't come out in a hurtful or unhelpful way. So it really is about looking at your emotional reactions to what, in what situations, and following that thread back so that you can find out what is the core of that, what's really happening in you. Because the bottom line is nobody, nothing has the power to make us angry, sad, unhappy, frustrated, cry. Nothing and no one has that power. Only we do. So when we're having an emotional reaction, it's pushed some button in us. And emotional intelligence is the study and the work in figuring out what are those buttons in ourselves. This is something that I have been talking about for a long time, the invisible prison of our own making. And it's something I've always been consciously aware of because, of course, I kept myself in my own invisible prison and had to remove those bars in order to transform my life. Throughout this entire past year with this COVID pandemic, this is one of the things that I've been very conscious of and very concerned about. There's the human mind is a really amazing thing. If you hear the same message over and over again enough times, we almost become hypnotized by it, become entranced by it. And so I worry that when we hear all the negativity on the news and in the media, and they're just trying to make money, they're just trying to get viewers. But when we constantly get bombarded by all the negative information, we become entranced by that. We become afraid of that. And I'm really afraid that we're all now living in this invisible COVID prison that our brains have created for us with the help of social media and regular media, but we're terrified to do anything. So the world is starting to open up again. This COVID, it seems like it's been forever, but it's a moment in time if you look at the big picture. We cannot be limited by our own fears. And that's the key in releasing yourself from that invisible prison. Whatever you're afraid of actually only resides in your own head. It's not true out there in reality. AstraZeneca causes blood clots. Yes, 5 in every million. And they cannot guarantee that the blood clot is actually associated with the vaccine. And yet we take this as truth, we believe it is truth, and we proceed as if it's true, when in fact, nobody knows if it's true. So we have to recognize the fear that we're living with and put logic to it. and say, is this real out there in reality? And most of the time, if not all the time, it's not real. That's how we release ourselves from the invisible prison. That's how we can start moving forward as the world starts to open up again. We can be less afraid. Resilience being a very hot topic. It always has been, but even more so now. Resilience, if you think about resilience, it's like an elastic band. It's like a rubber band. And if you stretch a rubber band and let go, the rubber band snaps back into shape. That's resilience. It's how quickly can we recover from setbacks, small or large. So one of the easiest, maybe not easiest, but one of the best ways to develop resilience is actually to develop your self-esteem and confidence. So the more you trust yourself and your abilities and your skills, the easier it will be to bounce back after change or setbacks or anything negative that happens in our life. So we can develop this in organizations by creating that culture of feedback, letting people know what they're doing well, where they need to improve. The other thing that we can do is, again, we're wired towards the negative. So we'll always see the negative in a situation. We can actively work on saying, yes, that's negative, but what are the positives? You know, any negative has a positive side as well. And there have been positives that have come out of this COVID. So we can recognize the negative and work to see the openings and the positive in that. The other thing that we can do is emotions are not logical and they're messy, but they're real. And when you're experiencing an emotion, it releases chemicals in your system. So, recognize that you're feeling this. Find somebody to talk to. We all need a support system. And once you've talked through this, start to apply your logical brain to this and look at, okay, is it really as bad as I'm making it out? Or is there a way I can move forward with this? But we can't ignore the emotional component of this because it is actually real. The other thing that we can do, and I practice this all the time, and I think it's one of the great little things that we can do something different to step out of your comfort zone every day. That will stretch your resilience. It will stretch you to get better at handling those unknowns when they arise. It could be as simple as taking a different route to the grocery store, or it could be doing your morning routine backwards. It's going to engage your conscious brain versus your subconscious, the habit part, and cause you to have to think about what you're doing because you'll be uncomfortable. And the more we can practice being uncomfortable, the more resilient we become. Well, always enhancing my own knowledge so that I can apply it in my own life. One of the things that I do believe is the purpose of life is to find out what we are capable of and live into that. So I am starting a new business called Big Bold Goals, where we will be helping people and organizations to really go after those big, bold goals that they are wanting to achieve in life. So I set out a long time ago to want to heal the world. And this is my contribution to healing the world and using my experience and knowledge and skills in doing that.